Right. So today I have decided to discuss some questions with you, and we have talked in detail about corporate governance. Now I want to give you some questions from this area. We talked about Enron, then we talked about Nissan CEO, Carlos Ghosn, about his remuneration, these things. That's from the practical side. Then theoretically, we looked at the directions given by CBSL on corporate governance to finance companies. Now it's time to look into past papers. One aim is to pass the exam, the other to get knowledge. Okay. So I'm giving you 2015 March question number 6. Okay. A listed, okay, that's on capital adequacy. Okay, we'll first move into corporate governance. September 2017, number 6. Good corporate governance is a key success factor for any financial institution. It is also an integral part of risk management, which paves way to stakeholder protection. Describe the following issues confronted by finance companies and the remedies available to redress under the finance company's corporate governance direction. Now we have the direction. So you asked to write about related party transaction. What is that? How do you avoid that if there are any issues with it? Dominance of executive directors. Excessive remuneration to directors. Now you can remember the video tape we looked at. Nissan former CEO, right? His remuneration that was excessive. Then what can we do if such things happen? Chairman holding the post of CEO. Right. Now what I want you to do is take your time, think this is the exam. What we have discussed in the class is the direction, corporate governance direction. Now, this is how the questions are set. So from one side, I have given you relevant knowledge and the reading material. Then I showed you some video clips to enhance your knowledge practically. These questions are raised from one side theoretically. Okay. So you have to say what is related party transaction, then what is the issue, how do you avoid that? Okay. So I'll give you about 20 minutes. Question number 7, 2006, 17, number 6. Start writing. Related party transaction. Tell me what is that. Then how do you avoid that? Yes, we have discussed in the class. Tell me what is related party transaction. How do you avoid that? Okay. And what are the means available to address this issue? What is the issue and what? How do you address it? Yeah. RTP, related party transaction, RPT. Can someone tell me what is RPT? What's wrong with that? What is the issue with that? And how do you address it? So that is the question. Yeah, you can note that in chat box. Okay, my dear, we have talked about corporate governance. Now it's your turn to answer for the exam questions. So you will be prepared well when you follow this method. First you learn, then you must be able to discuss that. Yeah, what is RTP related, RPT related party transaction? A transaction between two related parties. It can be a subsidiary or it can be among the relatives of key management personnel and directors, board of directors. What is the issue? This can lead to conflict of interest. Then how do you avoid it? One way of avoiding is disclosing related party transactions. And there are board appointed committees, related party transaction, related committee can be appointed. So all the related party transactions are forwarded to this committee and they are disclosed to the interested parties for the stakeholders by publishing them in CSC website if that is a listed company. So with that, we are addressing the issue. Okay. So we have discussed that. I'll read out the model answer. A related party transaction is a business deal or an arrangement between two parties who are joined by a special relationship prior to the deal. So there are two parties who have a relationship prior to the deal. As per direction, the board of directors of a finance company shall take necessary steps to avoid any conflict of interest that may arise from any transaction of the finance company with any person or any category of persons as specified, and ensure that the finance company does not engage in transactions with a related party in a manner that would grant such party more favorable treatment. Okay, so there are other parties who are not related. There is no ruling to say you can't do any transaction with a related party, but we have to avoid conflict of interest. We talked about conflict of interest. You must treat all the parties equally. So we are using a term arm's length transaction. We have to have arm's length transaction. Treat others as if they are not a related party. Treat everyone equally. Then we can avoid related party conflict of interest. Okay. So that would grant such party more favorable treatment than that is accorded to other similar parties of the finance company. So if there are other parties who quote, they must have the similar treatment. So we have seen related party transactions, conflict of interest. If someone do something bad, if any other person who is doing that is punished, my relative must be punished. My party member must be punished. Conflict of interest. I cannot treat my party member, my relative, my board committee member different than any other member of the society. This is good for the company. Why? Suppose your company is going to purchase an asset, maybe furniture for your head office, a massive amount, and the supplier is related to a board member, and the board member is sitting in the procurement committee to decide that decision. He may be favorably supporting his related party. Now, who is making a loss? The company. Why? Because the director who wants his relative to supply furniture is not worried about the cost, and the cost of is not comparing genuinely the cost offered by others. He only want to give the job to the non-party at the cost of the company. He is incurring loss to the company. That should be avoided. This is why this related party transaction is mentioned under directions. So there can be many occasions where you cannot avoid related party transaction. Now, subsidiaries, they are part of your business. There is something which you called captive business. Suppose there is a finance company and an insurance company. The insurance company is a subsidiary of the finance company. Very naturally, we want our customers to get business from our insurance company. Suppose the mother company wants to get its property insured, and if mother company only take quotation from the subsidiary, they do not know the market value of it, how others treat it. End of the day, the two companies are not doing their best. So we have to look into related party transactions. It can be individual who is relative to a director or a key management personnel, or it can be a subsidiary. So when we were discussing the direction, we talked about subsidiary associates. Okay. Right. Then answer for the second one. What is second one? Dominance of executive directors. Right. I'll give you 5 minutes. If you have the notes with you on the directions, look into composition of board of directors. There are executive directors, non-executive directors, independent non-executive directors. Then we talked about dominance of executive directors. What is that? How do you avoid that? We talked about senior directors, right? We talked about the number of directors. Okay. What should be the minimum number of independent directors? We talked all this. Now it's your turn to write. I'll give you 5 minutes. Complete that. Then we'll discuss. I know you don't like to answer, but my dear, this is the only way you are tested at the exam. You are given a question, you have to write the answer. So we are talking about the dominance of executive director. And I hope you can see this as well. Who is an non-executive director? And okay, with effect from 3 years from the date of this direction, the number of independent non-executive directors of the board shall be at least 1/4 of the total number of directors. Right, so I have given this part. Now you have to refer that and write your answers. Okay, so the question is about dominance of non-executive directors. Dominance of executive directors. I told you about executive directors. Who are executive directors? Executive directors are the directors who are involving in day-to-day operational matters. Non-executive directors are the directors who are not involving in day-to-day operational matters but meet in the company at least once in a month. Then there are independent non-executive directors. Independent, what do you mean by independence? That I have given earlier. So you must not hold more than 2% of shares of the company. Okay, so that part I have given you. Right? A non-executive director shall not hold more than 2% of the capital or 10% of any other. Likewise, if he has been an employee of the company, there must be 2 years lapse, right? So likewise, I have given you. He is not a relative to the CEO or a key management personnel. Right? Such people are independent non-executive directors. Okay? Now, executive directors, when they dominate, they will look from one perspective. Think about our parliamentary system. You have elected members and members from national list. Members from national list, that post is given because they are the people who are not involving in day-to-day operational matters of the country. Okay? So there is a difference. The large number is representing a special electorate. So they are worried about the popularity among people. So what do people need? They want to clear forests and build houses in that cleared area. That's what the general public want. Hmm. Then there are independent nationalist members. They don't talk about voting base. They talk about national interest. Okay. People may need, your vote base may need to clear up all the jungles and construct houses. They may be happy. But end of the day, what are we doing? We are destroying forests and the source of oxygen, water, and all the ingredients for our well-being. We are destroying that. We can't allow that. So there must be independent people to look into that. Those who are involving in day-to-day activities of the electorate, they find people, their voting perspective. But the national list, they will represent a set of people who are not worried about the votes, number of votes, but about the national interest. Likewise, in a board, there will be executive directors. If we give them the dominance, what happen? They will cut down the trees and say, now people are happy. Okay. What do your employees want? Bonus, more salaries, more remuneration, and everyone will be happy if that is paid out, even out of the reserves. That's why you must have a set of people who don't want popularity within the company, but to look at well-being of the company in years ahead. You want to increase the profit in the short term, so you see a bubble in gold pawning, vehicle leasing, and you want to expose more and more. But an independent director would see there is a danger, and he would oppose. He would set portfolio ceilings. This is the maximum amount out of our entire loan portfolio we can go for gold loan or gold pawning. And even though we have, it is not covered in the LTV. If you take today's market value for vehicles, we will finance only up to this limit, 70%, 60% of this particular vehicle category. But the dominance of executive directors would see from another perspective. Let's cut down all the trees, and our vote base will be strong, and we will win next election as well. Very good, but not in the long run. That's why you must have a set of people to question the dominance of executive directors. The model answer. An executive director is a working director of an organization who is usually a full-time employee having a specified decision-making role to perform. This is what I mentioned as day-to-day operations. In order to have an independent view at the board level, it is required to curtail the number of executive directors, as there may be a tendency for them to justify their operational decisions at the board level. Same what is happening in the parliament. The executive, day-to-day members who are responsible for the vote base, they talk from one side. We have seen this conflict of interest. All of a sudden, the health authorities want to close down Piliyandal area, but the Member of Parliament who is representing Piliandal area immediately removed this curfew. Thanks to that, for a prolonged period, countries suffering with curfew. This is where the independent directors, like the regular health authority, who has no worry about the vote base, should have taken the right decision. They must be supported by the powerful set of independent, non-executive directors. Otherwise, what happened to Piliandal and Sri Lanka will happen to a company. Okay? So in the board level, there must be strong voice for the independent directors. So you have to curtail the number of executive directors. As per the direction, if the number of executive directors in a finance company is more than one half of the number of total directors, comprising of executive, non-executive, independent directors of the board shall expressly identify the excess executive directors and inform their names to the director of Department of Supervision of Non-Banking Financial Division of CBSL. And such excess executive directors shall not be considered as members to the board. Okay? Otherwise, what happened to Sri Lanka? Executive directors, they only see short term. The member of parliament who is representing Piliandala, he was only worried about the business loss taking place by closing down Piliandala area for 1 week. He is not worried about what happened if I open this, if I lift the curfew, will this COVID spread throughout the country, and very soon we have to close the country for 1 month, 2 months. What is the economic disaster? That's not his problem. His problem is only Piliandal area. And he was very powerful. That's how the executive directors are. They become dominant. And the rest of other executive directors also support that. And the real independent, non-executive directors, when they don't have a voice, the executive directors dominate and they remove, lift curfew just because they want to satisfy in the short run. In the long run, we all suffer. This is why in a board, the executive director's dominance should be questioned. There must be substantial number of independent non-executive directors. That number is given in the direction which I have given. What is that? 1/4 of the entire board. Okay, my dear, these are very practical things. For the well-being of a country or for the company, this is the structure. For the country, whoever drafted this constitution has clearly seen something like a company. National list should consist of brilliant, professional people who do not worry about what pays but on the national interest. And their voice should not be subdued by the dominance of those who involve in day-to-day politics. Now, finally, what has happened? Non-independent national list consists of those who cannot pass the qualifying amount of votes in voting base, and they do the same as the executive directors, and we all suffer. That is not happening in finance companies thanks to this direction. Okay, so we look into the third one. Excessive remuneration to the directors. We have talked about this in the class. We talked about with examples, Nissan CEO, right? How much he earned, what happened to him. Then in the class, I can remember I said the politicians, when they decide their own salary, the tendency is they charge a higher salary for themselves without assigning to performance. How is your salary and your other remunerations, like maybe bonuses, assigned based on your performance? Mean what? Your salary is based on your performance. But the top, they love to get more without assigning specific responsibilities, accountabilities. Same is happening in the politics. So this part, corporate governance is really governing a country. Okay, excessive remuneration to directors. The tendency is when you are given the power to decide your own salary, you would charge a high salary without assigning it to performance. Suppose the politicians come to power, the president would say, the GDP is this much. Within my tenure, I would increase GDP to this amount. To do that, I'll get my salary to this level. If I don't perform, my salary will be deducted. No top level is doing that. But they expect it from others. If you perform, you get. If you don't perform, you don't get. Right. I'll read out the answer. Stakeholders of finance companies are concerned about the large remuneration directors award themselves. Award themselves. I serve myself, regardless of the performance of the company or its profitability. Think about chairmen of state-owned enterprises which are making losses. The moment they get it, they want a new vehicle. They want very high salary. They want many things. Okay. Then what happened? As a decision makers of companies, directors have a big say regarding their remunerations, which could be very unhealthy for finance companies, especially as they survive on public funds. Finance companies can get deposits from general public. They can mobilize deposits from general public. If so, while mobilizing deposits from general public, they themselves charge a very high salary. That's not fair. But when you are given the authority to decide your own salary, this is how you behave. In order to curtail this issue, the corporate governance direction has made it compulsory for finance companies to publish the fees, remunerations paid to the directors in aggregate in annual reports. So the stakeholders could access this information and take necessary action to restrict excessive remuneration. So that they are total, not as an individual XY, Mr. XY said, Fernando, how much you are getting. No, that is not published. But as a whole, the total remuneration for the directors is this much. Then that is published in the annual report. At the AGM, shareholders can question that. Your company is making losses and you are not paying dividends to us, but you charge yourself a very high salary. We oppose that. So the shareholders can raise their voice. So that is the curtailing activity. Then the last one, chairman holding the post of CEO. My dear, at least someone send me simple 1 or 2 sentence on that. We have discussed. Chairman holding the post of CEO. If that is happening, we said we appoint someone else. Who is that? Yeah. Last week, you all answered really well. Okay. Last week, yeah. This is about corporate governance. You must now prepare for exams. Okay. There's one word, at least tell me that word. If there is the post of CEO and chairman is held by one individual, we appoint another. Who is that person? Yeah, that is the one. Chairman should be non-executive, CEO should be executive. But the question says something like this. Chairman holding the post of CEO. Number one, what you say is correct. Chairman should be independent and CEO is the top or the apex of executives. Now, if the same person is holding, that is not allowed by the direction. But I'll read it, the model answer. Thank you for your answer. The chairman of a finance company provide leadership to the board, ensuring that the board works effectively and discharge its responsibilities while all key issues are discussed by the board in a timely manner. The chairman does not involve in day-to-day decision making, but contributes to the set strategies and evaluate decisions made by the key management personnel, including the CEO. The CEO of a finance company performs an executive role and executes the strategies set by the board through day-to-day decision making. Due to the distinct and contrasting roles they perform, chairman holding the post of CEO will create conflict of interest issues. Therefore, as per the corporate governance direction, the chairman and CEO shall be separated and shall not be performed by one individual and the same person, and the chairman shall be a non-executive director. Okay, so your answer was very close. Right. So we looked into one question from corporate governance. Okay, I know when I uh, lecture, when I tell you stories, you really love to listen. When I ask you to write answers, you don't like it. But my dear, this is the only way to pass the exam. It may not be interesting, but you must get the practice of answering. But I'll talk a little bit on something else which I would do next week, or maybe within 1 or 2 more weeks. That's microfinance. Okay. Now, before talking about microfinance, I want to show you, I want to talk a little bit with you, and I want your uh, feedback, answers. Okay. Now, microfinance is basically for the people who are termed as low income earners. Professor Yunus of Bangladesh really started microfinance in order to uplift the living standard of poor people. In Sri Lanka, too, microfinance companies performed and they were expected to contribute to the society. The target market is the set of people who cannot prove their earning capacity, who do not have collateral to provide and get into traditional banking or finance system. Banks and finance, when they want to give away money by way of lending, they look into your earning capacity as well as your collateral. Low income earners are the people who have failed to accumulate wealth assets to show a collateral. Further, they cannot prove their income. Therefore, banks and finance companies are not providing them loans. Remember, a person's or a country's living standard will improve the moment you get a loan. Your ability to pay back is something, but the donor or the person who is giving you loan should look into that. Right. The poor people, when they cannot obtain a loan, their living standard remains in the same condition and they will be exploited by the rich continuously. To prevent that, if you have a mechanism to give loans for these people, we can slowly uplift their living standard. So microfinance is looking into this aspect. At the same time, remember, higher the risk, higher the reward. So all the microfinance companies are charging a very high interest rate than a finance company or a commercial bank when they are lending out. My first question, why do microfinance charge a higher interest rate than a finance company when lending? Send me your answer. Why do microfinance companies charge a higher interest? Very simple answer. Send me that. Because the loan is given without any security. Yes. Further, there is a nice term. What is that? Because the risk is high. That's it. For the risk taking. Because the lender take very high risk. Very good. Now, right. Thank you. Now I'm taking you little bit away from, yeah, okay, thank you. Now I'm taking you a little bit away from the topic we are discussing. Suppose tomorrow I'm starting a new company and I'll recruit all of you as my employees. Now you are given a good opportunity. You can become employees in my company and I'll give you a choice for you. The choice is how I have to pay your salary. I'm ready to pay you 2000 rupees per day. Okay, means you can take 2000 at the evening. You come to work today, you come to work in the morning, and when you leave, say 5 o'clock, you're off. I'm paying you 2000 at the end of the day. That's one option. Let's assume there are 30 days in a month and every day you have to work. The other option, I'll pay you 60,000 at the end of the month on the 30th. The other option, I'm giving you three options. I'll pay you 720,000 on 30th of December. Now in our calendar, you have the last day of December is 30th. These are assumptions. Okay, so every month you have 30 days. Now you have three options: daily paid 2,000, monthly paid 60,000, annually paid 720,000. Okay. Now tell me, those who love to work with me on daily paid basis, just type yes. Daily paid, just type yes. Okay. Monthly paid, I'm paying you 60,000 at the end of the month. Say yes. Right. Annually paid, 720,000. Annually paid. Okay. Right. So your silence at the very beginning showed me no one is interested in daily paid. And the silence at the end showed me no one is interested in annually paid. You only want monthly paid. Okay. Now my next question is, number one, tell me some of the professions by the name of the profession that you are paid on daily wages. Say porter, bus conductor in a private bus. Likewise, tell me by the profession daily paid without taking much time. Plumbers, good. Others, go ahead. Cleaner, good. Laborer, yeah. State workers, very good. Very good. Right. Tell me, okay, right. Tell me those who are paid on monthly basis by profession. Say teacher, likewise. Tell me, bankers. There are other people than banks. Tell me some of them. Other professions than bank, yeah, bankers are paid monthly. Government staff, good. Go ahead. I need more. Okay. Teacher, okay. Right, good. Now tell me the type of people who get annually paid. Annually paid. Sports people, very good. Annual contract. Shareholders, very good. They are given dividends, yes, on annual basis. Right. Okay. Now, as you understand, out of these three classes, who is the richest? Who is the richest? Third. Good. Good. Who is the poorest? Right. Right. Thank you for your understanding. Who is the poorest? Now I'm asking you a question. Second is not poorest. Okay, right. Anyway, now I'm asking the question whether you are paid daily, monthly, or annually. In my example, all of them get the same salary. Yeah, all of them get the same salary. But you categorized one party as poorest, the other as richest. Okay. Now, you all belong to the category of daily paid, sorry, monthly paid. That's your choice. Monthly paid, that's your choice. You want to buy a television. You want to buy a television and your salary is 60,000. The price of the television is 90,000 rupees. Can you buy a television out of your monthly salary? Say yes or no. Good, 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 good. You can't buy. Your choice is monthly salary. Okay, I'm coming to that Achala later. Right. Your preferred choice was monthly salary. Now you can't buy a TV on cash basis. Right. How do you buy a TV? Your monthly paid, you can't buy a TV out of your salary. That's what my question was. Now my question is, but still you buy a TV. How do you buy a TV? How do you buy a TV? You are monthly paid. Credit card, installment, loans. Okay. For the time being, I will remove the word saving for the time being. Okay, good. Buy a loan. Very good. Who will give you a loan to buy a TV? You said credit cards, you said loans. Fine. Banks. A bank. Yes. Banks are giving you loans. Banks or the finance company. Yeah. They will give you maybe a credit card, maybe an installment plan. They will give you. When they are giving you a loan, what do they ask from you? You have to attach something. Your salary sheet, very good. Pay sheet or your salary sheet. Yeah, source of income, prove that. So your past 6 months salary sheets. Okay, right. Suppose you are daily paid. Can you buy a TV out of your daily salary? No, no. Good, good. So you can't buy a TV from your daily salary. From 2000, you can't buy a TV. Very good. Then, how do you buy a TV? How do you buy a TV? Okay. In another way, will a bank give you loan? Yeah, buy if you save, yes, fine. Yeah. Okay. I'll ask that question in another way. Will a bank give them a loan to buy a TV for these daily income earners, the plumbers, porters, state workers? Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. Now, you belong to the third category, annually paid. Can you buy a TV on cash basis? TV is 90,000. Your income is 720,000. Can you buy on cash basis? Good, thank you. Now you said if you are a middle income earner, monthly basis, you will be given a loan and you will buy a TV and pay by installments. And you said if you are belong to the third category, annual earner, you will buy on cash basis. When you buy on loan, what do you have to pay? In addition to the cost of the TV, what do you have to pay? Interest. 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 Right. Your annual earner. When you buy a TV, what do you get? You are buying on cash. What do you get? You get discount. Good. Now this is the system, my dear. The rich is supported by discounts. The middle class suffers with interest. And the daily earners living in poor condition without having access to the items they prefer to have. That's where microfinance come. And what do microfinance do? They charge a very high interest than from the middle class. And the poorer become poorest, and the poorest become further, further, further. I don't know. That's the unfortunate situation. While knowing all these things, you don't like to go into the third category, annual earning. Can someone tell me, when you are given the choice, you opted not to go for daily wages? Thanks for that. But no one of you dare to go for annual earnings. Can someone tell me the reason why didn't you like to move into annual earning? Who adopted you, my dear? Who adopted you? I gave you three free choices. I gave you three free choices. It's your selection. I didn't adapt you. I didn't form you. I didn't frame you to put into monthly. But something put yourself into monthly. Our environment and culture. Okay. Can I add something like this? State workers, thanks to Tondaman and the team, always fight for increasing. Okay, I'll come to that word long term. Thank you, Rohan. I'll come to that word. Right. Thanks to Tondaman and team, the state workers are always asking a increase of daily income. Okay, sudden needs raised within the year before the annual. Okay, I'll come to that. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. I'll come to all these. Now, you said you are formed or you are molded into that monthly, right? Now, state workers, with the assistance of the unions, they always ask to raise the daily wages paid for them, not the monthly wages. They don't ask that. Before the British took control of this country, we were not paid at all, right? Then wherever the foreign or the British rulers were working, they paid us in different terms. They planted tea, and the daily tea pluckers, they paid daily basis. For the clerks, who will maintain a little bit higher social status speaking English, they are paid on monthly basis. And the owners of these plantations, they became shareholders and they were given annual basis. And they led a very rich life, developing castles and bungalows in New Delhi and upcountry. The middle class who could speak English were paid on monthly basis and they were happy. And the poorer people are following the same now, daily wages. None of their leaders ever speak to them and say, look here, why don't we go for monthly and we can get EPF? I know that you are paid EPF even now on daily, but why don't we transfer to monthly? Then slowly our living standard will improve. No, no one is involving. Because if you do that, their living standard improve and the way they think and work will be different. I didn't frame you. I didn't ask you to fall into monthly. It's your decision. Then came some of your answers. Okay, very simply, you said you have commitments, you have monthly bills to pay, these things. But what is the real reason that you did not look into annual? What is the real reason? Can someone tell me? There's a nice word for that. You didn't look into annual as a, there's no risk. I'm here, my dear. Like Mangal Samadeva said, I'll live for another 10, 15 years. So why can't you wait for 1 year? I'll pay you at the 30th of December. It is not the risk. Okay. So there's a very nice term which you must learn. No backup or saving to run 1 year. Okay. Okay. No backup. Right. That's how everyone come to work for the very first day. Okay. How do you come to work? First, you must be more than 18 years old. Then you come to job world. Then on the very first day, I'm not paying you. I'll say wait for 25th or the 30th or the 10th. Then I'll pay you. Till then, you live. How do you live? By thanks to your parents, you live. Then on 25th, you get the salary. Then start the salary cycle. But the first 25, yeah, you can depend on others, right? But I'm asking you, what made you not to consider annual? Look into the word I'm typing. You didn't select annual because of this. You are afraid to delayed gratification. What do you mean by delayed gratification? I gratify myself. I satisfy myself. And I don't want to delay that. Yeah, Madhavi, I said cannot afford other expenses until getting, let's say, on the very first day you joined any company, you are not paid the salary. You are paid the salary on latter part of the month, not on the very first day you joined. Till then, you have to meet your expenses, maybe by your parents. Then the salary cycle start. If your parent could feed you until 18 years old, they can feed you another year. So you can join to a company, work for 1 year, and the latter part on the 30th of December or the 31st of December, you can be paid. Till that 1 year, you can live. When you get annual salary, you can manage it yourself, and then you can manage another year, like monthly, right? So that's out. The word is delayed gratification. Okay. Now, mm, many people who became rich were delayed gratifiers. Steve Jobs, I have heard his talk about he took only $1 or something as the salary initially. Right? I have heard about Sumal Pereira saying, I paid higher salaries for my employees than myself for a long period. Very recently, I watched a clip by Jack Ma. He says when he started his company, some of the clients paid his, okay, it's a nice story. He says, okay, once he went to a restaurant and he went to pay the bill of his lunch. The waiter said, sir, someone paid on behalf of you. He asked who paid. Then he pointed at someone. Then he went to that person and asked, have you paid my restaurant bill? Yes, I paid because as a client, I earn more than you earn. Right? So these people, maybe Jack Ma, Steve Jobs, maybe Sumal Peva, all of them have delayed gratifying for a prolonged period. I'll tell you one more story. We'll see whether that is available in the internet. Woolworth. In your free time, check this guy, Woolworth. Okay. Woolworth Group, Woolworth Retail Company, right? So that is Woolworth Company. Check about it, right? I'll tell you the story. There was a guy. He was about, let's say, 7 years old or maybe 8 years old. That was 1929. Those days, child labor was not prohibited, so children can work in factories and anywhere. This little child When he came to city, he saw a queue. He asked from the people who are lined up, "Why are you waiting?" Then they said, "We are waiting for the job vacancy." He also joined. Right? He came to the city to sell milk. And the shop owner, that was 1929, America was in recession and lot of people are jobless. So the a small shop owner is interviewing people to be recruited as his assistant in the his small shop. And finally, this young boy went up, and as usual, the interviewer said, "Okay, tell me about yourself." He said, "Okay, I'm coming from this particular village. I get up early in the morning, say about 5 o'clock, and it's shivering cold. I go to the place where cows or the cow shed. I kick and make them stand up, and I put my feet on the place where they sat, and I get warm to my toes. Then I milk the cow, take the bottles to city, sell them. That's how I live. And then I go back to village. Then once again I go to school. That's my life, and I don't like that. I want to live in a city. And I saw your job vacancy, and I like to do that. Then the job owner said, "Okay, fine. I will not pay you." Then this young boy asked, "Then what?" "But I'll give you a place to stay, accommodation, and I'll give you food to eat." He said, "Fine, I'll stay." Now, if he went back to village, he has to do the same thing. And after 2 or 3 years, the shop owner, by now the economy is slowly improving, the shop owner said, "Okay, I'll pay you a salary." This boy was used to live without a salary for a long period. So he started accumulating all this. His boss is giving his accommodation and food. So he has no means to spend. So he collected all the money. When he was about 17, 18 years old, the shop owner was almost bankrupt. He said, "I'll buy your business," and purchased the business out of his saved money. That was the Woolworth business. He named it as Woolworth. Later on, by say 1960s, the world's tallest building was Woolworth Building. You can read about them. Okay. So what is that? Delayed gratification. Okay. Right. Now, before moving into another set of questions, I'll take you to the real person who should talk about microfinance. Let's listen to him. Right now, from one side, I have completed most of the syllabus. Okay. Now I am preparing you for the exams. At the same time, I have to complete few more subjects: microfinance, cooperative societies, leasing and hire purchasing, that part. Only that. Therefore, we have time. So before really talk about microfinance, let's listen about this person. Yeah, that's it. Now this is Professor Yunus, the real founding father of microfinance. And this series is known as TED Talks. Let's listen to him.
All I can say that whatever I did, probably if I can look back, I can say I was trying to do very little thing. And I was not trying to persuade anybody to do anything. Just what I thought I can do, I tried to do that. And it started with a little amount of money. So little that you can laugh at it looking back. It's a total loan of $27 to 42 people. So it's not even $1 a piece. So that's what excited me and wanted to do more of it. I was trying to persuade the banks to do it. They wouldn't do it. So I offered myself as a guarantor. I said, "Okay, I'll sign all your papers and take all the risk, and you give the money." They were stuck with their rules and procedures, so I was trying to kind of get over those things. And that was the beginning. Luckily, it worked and continued to grow, lending money to women, tiny little money. Everybody said it's going to collapse very soon. I said, until it collapses, I'll keep on doing it. So Why should I stop it just because someday it is going to collapse, which we don't know whether it will. That's it. And then we created a bank out of it, calls it Grameen Bank or Village Bank. And people ask me, how did you figure this out? All these rules and procedures that you put into it so that it can work even in very adverse circumstances, still it works. I said, oh, I don't do very hard work. I'm an easygoing man. I just look at the conventional banks, how they do it. And once I learned how they do it, each piece, and I just do the opposite. And it works. They go to the rich people, so I decided to go to the poor people. They go to men, so I decided to go to women. They go to the city center to business. I wanted to go to the village, remote village. They want collateral. I said, forget about collateral. Who wants collateral? If you want collateral, you never get to the poor. So dismiss collateral. They have big lawyers in their bank. We said, we don't need lawyers. So we are the only lawyer-free bank in the whole world, probably. It works. We don't need them. And lawyers and the banks, conventional banks, want to know your all antecedents, what you have been doing, whether you know everything, what kind of business you have been running, everything, your past, as much details as they can get. So we said, forget about it. We are not interested in the past of our borrowers. We are interested in the future of our borrowers. So if you're looking for the poor people, I'm sure there's something they have done which may not be very pleasant. Why you dig into it? So because he or she is not responsible for it, society is responsible for what he or she has been doing. So why don't you just give it a break and start fresh? See what he or she wants. And this is how we wanted to do it. Conventional banks concentrated on owning, or conventional banks are owned by the rich people. So we reversed that too. We made this bank owned by the poor people. And not only conventional banks are owned by rich people, mostly it's owned by rich men. So we reversed that. We not only make it owned by the poor people, we made it owned by poor women. So this is a bank which is owned by the borrowers themselves. Right now, we have 8.3 million borrowers. 97% of them are women. And they own the bank. They run the bank. They are the board. They decide the rules and procedures and so on and so forth. So this is one way to describe how the operationally and structurally the whole bank is done. And then you can understand where we come from. It's not just tiny size of loan makes it Grameen Bank. It's kind of making everything other way. In one meeting in the early years, 10th year or 11th year of bankers, one banker was saying, Professor Yunus, you're not going to get away with this. You made the whole banking system upside down. I said, yes, that's what exactly I did, because banking system was standing on its head. So I'm trying to put it on its feet. And they challenged me on an account. They said, you should change the name of your bank. Make the name Grameen Women's Bank. Several bankers suggested that I should change the name of the bank because explanation was at that time we are only 64% women. The rest of it's men, the early years. So when I was replying to this question, I said, yes, I'm very happy to change the name of the bank. I'll make the bank Grameen Women's Bank. But before I do that, you'd have to do something. Change the name of your bank. Because 99% of your borrowers are men. So you should say X Men's Bank, Y Men's Bank, Z Men's Bank. After you have done this, then I will come and do mine, Grameen Women's Bank. So it's very easy. When you do it with women, everybody says it's wrong. If you do it with men, that's perfect. There's no problem with that. So this is continuously we have been facing. And another issue comes up in our work, because I've been insisting that all human beings are entrepreneurs. It burns up many people. Oh, why does he say that? There are only few people who are entrepreneurs. Rest of us, we are not entrepreneurs. We have to work under the entrepreneur. I said, no, all human beings are entrepreneurs. That's how we survived on this planet. Otherwise, we would be in the caves, still living the kind of life we live there, because we all work together to change our life. That's how we came here and still function here. They didn't take it very seriously. Then they said, yes, you can lend money to the poor people, but you should be looking for entrepreneurial poor. I said, not in my case, because everybody's entrepreneur, so I go ahead with that. Even she tells me again and again, no, sorry, please don't give me money. I don't know what to do with your money. I never used money in my life. I can't use your money. We don't give up. Keep on chasing, keep on explaining to her, no, you can do that. So that confidence builds up in her. Just because she doesn't have confidence doesn't mean that she doesn't have entrepreneurial ability. It's a question of building confidence in her. So we try to build the confidence because society has totally demolished her confidence in herself. That's what the poor people are. You say you are wrong, you are no good, you are good for nothing. And generation after generation, they have heard it, that's what they believe in. So we wanted to change that, build confidence in them. So in order to demonstrate that even the poorest person can be an entrepreneur, one idea came to me, why don't they do something so that I can demonstrate this? This idea was to lend to beggars. You cannot be poorer than beggars. That's the last stage of human survival. You have no other source. You go and beg for your daily food. Go to houses, neighbors, find something to eat, get some money to eat, and that's how you survive. You not only do it once or twice, that becomes your livelihood for the rest of your life. I said, let's try that. So we started talking to the beggars. So we started talking that as you go from house to house begging, do you like to carry some merchandise with you? Some cookies, some candies, some toys for the kids. And we make it sound easy for them. I say, you are going there anyway. This is not extra work for you. So, and you are giving people more options. So that if they don't want to give anything free, you may try to sell something. So they may like to buy something, or they may like to do both. Give you some food free and also buy something from you. So you have two businesses going instead of one business. People like that, beggars like that. They said, where do we get the money? I said, we'll give you the money. So we started giving them the loan. Our idea was, if they succeeded in getting the loan and paying us back by the business they would do, that will show that yes, even a beggar can be an entrepreneur on his own, on her own. We thought there'll be 1,000 or 2,000 beggars in that program. It became such a popular program. We ended up with more than 100,000 beggars in that program. And we have been watching them, what is there, what are they doing. It's become very popular. What they do, as we explained. And now in the last 5 years, this is about the time that we are doing it. In the last 5 years, out of this 100,000 beggars, more than 22,000 beggars have stopped begging completely because they became successful door-to-door salesperson. And not only they became door-to-door salesperson, some of them became your personal shoppers. You come and the housewife says, when you come tomorrow, you bring me this. She brings you this because she cannot go to the market all the time. But this lady is going around doing things, so she brings you whatever you needed, little things. But you have a good business going. People ask us to buy them. And she feels comfortable and the family feels comfortable with it. My colleagues who are getting so enthusiastic about this program, because they see that even a beggar can change your life by selling something, doing something. They keep saying, why don't the other beggars get out of begging? Why are they taking so much time? I try to advise them to be patient. I said, please be patient. It takes time. After all, begging is their core business. You don't shut down your core business just like that. You have to be totally confident. how the new business, your sales division, is working. So, so once they figure out what the sales division is doing well, then they may say, well, this division, core business, we can now shift. So it takes a lot of courage to come to that stage that you close down completely. So this gradually, they will come. When you talk to them, they tell you something very interesting. They say they know which house is good for buying or selling, which house is good for begging. So they go accordingly. So by this time they have experience, and who are the one who's doing both. So I tell my colleagues, not only they do the business, we have not trained them anything. They already know how to do the market segmentation. Which one? And their loan size is such a small amount. They start with something like $12, $15. That's about the size. And paying back that loan, they are enthusiastic to take the second loan and the third loan. Each one becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So you look at this phenomenon and you ask yourself, what creates poverty? What created this situation that human being has to be brought into this kind of situation where they have to beg for existence? Is this the fault of the person? Repeatedly, I come to the same conclusion. There is nothing wrong with the people. Poverty is not created by the poor people. Poverty is created by the system that we have built, the concepts that we have created. That's what created poverty. Nothing, absolutely nothing wrong in human beings. Poverty is externally imposed phenomenon. It is not internally developed phenomenon. So if it is externally developed, imposed phenomenon, we can, if we remove that external imposition, people will come up as human being as anybody else. And that's how the question of the bonsai came. I started describing poor people as bonsai people. There's nothing wrong with their seed. Their seed as good as anybody else's seed. Simply, society never gave them the space to grow. So they are just like the tree on a flower pot. So thinking, what's going wrong with the concept? I started looking at what is happening in the world. I said, in the meantime, in order to solve problems, I started creating businesses. It almost became instinctive in me. Whenever I see a problem, I go right ahead and design a business, start a business to solve that problem. I didn't notice it before, but when you have done it once, when you've done it twice, and you have done it 100 times, then you realize that you have an instinctive feature that you design a business to solve a problem. You look back, you created so many such companies. We had problem of electricity, so we created a solar energy company. Everybody said, oh, solar business is not going to work in Bangladesh. I said, who knows? It may work. Let me give it a try. Nothing wrong. If I fail, it's okay. But I have to try. So I tried to bring solar home system. It is expensive for the rural people. We made it easy for them to pay back. It was extremely difficult even to sell 5 solar home systems per month. It was such a struggle. Now we came to a stage after 15 years. We sell more than 1,000 solar home systems per day. And it's growing, improving. And it's done in a business way. So we did the solar energy in a business way. And it's expanding. People love it because they need electricity, because kerosene lamp is no good for them. So this is what we did. Then I realized maybe this is a category of business which is missing in the whole conceptual framework. Because conceptual framework gives you one type of business to make money. I said, that's a wrong interpretation of human beings. Human beings are not just money-making machines. Human beings are not robots. Human beings are much bigger than just one-dimensional being. They're multidimensional beings. What happened to other dimensions? So that's when the question of selfish aspect of human being, selfless aspect of human being came into discussion. I said, why don't we create business on the basis of the selflessness, where I don't want to make money for myself by decision. Nobody has imposed it because I'm so excited to create business to solve a problem. It is such an exciting experience to be able to solve a problem. And I said that maybe is the one which you should be doing. It's a non-loss, non-dividend company to solve a social problem. So we started creating more and more of these companies. Then we had one connection with the Danone of France. Talked to Frank Ribot. He was trying to understand what Gaming Bank is. I started asking him what Danone is. Then he said, he explained to me what Danone is. Suddenly, I didn't think about it before because I go with a plan for him. Just stopped on the way to talk to him. I said, why don't she have a company in Bangladesh? We can do it jointly. Whatever he thought, he just stood up, shook hands with me. He said, yes, let's do that. I said, but I have not finished yet. I said, it will be a social business. He said, what is a social business? Then I gave my spiel. This is the social business. You will never get any money out of it. You can take your money back. What you invested, there's nothing more than that. He stood up again, shook hands. He said, I agree. And I thought he didn't understand my Bangladeshi English. And I didn't understand his French English. So on the way out, I sent him a very detailed email. And he immediately sent back, I understood everything you said. I stand by what I committed. Let's go ahead and do it. And this is 2005. That company was created in 2007 and continued to function. Now we produce yogurt fortified with micronutrients for the children who are malnourished in Bangladesh. And that yogurt does wonderful thing to the children because half the children of Bangladesh are malnourished. So this produced a yogurt which has all these micronutrients. And once these children eat this, they regain their health because you see, if you're malnourished, your physical growth becomes very stunted. Similarly, your mental growth becomes stunted. So it's a very strange situation for a nation to have a half the children malnourished. So we thought, at least in our way, we can see if we can do that. Now it works. Since it works as a social business, so we can go and replicate, add as many factories as possible. We have just the first factory, which is fully in full production. So we are starting the second factory, and we calculate we'll have 50 such factories around the country so that every child has access to this yogurt. It's a delicious yogurt. Children love it. So that's an example of social business. So we created many such social business with international collaborations, not because we wanted it, but international multinational companies wanted it. So we have collaboration with Veolia to produce water. Our water has a serious problem, arsenic and pollution. So we have created a small company to bring clean water in the village in a very affordable way. We created a company to produce shoes with Adidas. We challenged them that they should take a position that nobody in the world should go without shoes. And as a shoe company, it is their responsibility to produce shoes affordable to the poorest people. They asked me how much the price should be to make it affordable. I said maybe under €1. They were shocked that Adidas shoes had been sold under €1. I said, well, if you want to do it, that's the price range you can go. They took the challenge after long debate and discussion within the company. They did that. Now, after 2 years of research and test marketing, next month we'll have the full mass marketing will begin actually next month. So this is another example of social business. Wearing Adidas shoes or Reebok shoes doesn't mean you are going for fashion. This is an essential thing. If you go barefoot, particularly in tropical countries like Bangladesh, you contact lots of diseases, particularly parasitic diseases. And many people are affected, particularly women and children are affected by this because they are always in an area where it is very easy to contact parasitic diseases. So you protect them from the parasitic diseases. We have created BSF to bring mosquito nets so that you are not attacked by the malaria. And all these companies are done for the sake of protecting yourself from diseases or escape from malnutrition and so on and so forth. Companies don't want to make money out of it. They want to make sure the impact of these companies are on the people. You measure the impact. So in a money-making companies, at the end of the year, you ask your CEO how much money we made this year. The more money you make, more excited you get. In a social business, you ask your CEO how much impact we have made this year. You're not asking how much money you made because you're not making money for yourself. The money is made, it stays with the company. But the whole company is dedicated to create the impact. And that's how measurement of impact becomes very important. So that way, if you open it up, this idea can create a new kind of phenomenon. I believe that every human being has that selflessness, but our theory, our concept doesn't allow that to come out. So I'm creating a window, I'm creating a door so that it come out. If it comes out, then all the problems we have created over years and years of our way of single-minded pursuit of money may be addressed by creating all this social business to address that. Technology is at our command. We have enormous technology, but this technology is at the control of the businesses. What do they use of it? Make use of it? Make money. I said, if we can now create a door or create a road to use this technology to solve problems, all these problems will be solved. Human creativity and human capacity is limitless. In the presence of this limitless human capacity and human creativity, all the problems of the world cannot just stand for a few seconds. It will have to disappear. And this is the age where we all have this capacity of technology. All the question is, do we have the methodology of using this capacity to address these problems? If we do, we can do it through social business. You may have better idea of doing it, but the whole question is creativity of human being has to be channeled to address the problems that we have made for ourselves. If we do that, we can create a whole new world. We can create a whole new civilization. And that's what we should be looking for. Thank you very much.
Okay, right. So he was the best person to talk about microfinance, and you got the essence of microfinance. At the same time, be mindful what really happened. This is theory. This is the best part. This is what you must be looking at to make microfinance and to enable NINA, no income, no asset class, to afford to loans and to slowly get into good living standard. But microfinance in Sri Lanka, as well as in many countries, became loan sharks. There was a time, even AG of Batiklo, she said, in my area, no one can come and do microfinance. And recently, there was a nice article, nice cartoon, microfinance, a bicycle with square-shaped tires. It is very difficult to pedal square-shaped tires. Okay, we'll talk about microfinance next week. Now I'm giving you another set of questions. Number 8, 2018. Good corporate governance in financial institution is essential for its risk management and stakeholder protection. Indicate the main requirements to be fulfilled under the following section of finance company's corporate governance direction. Okay. Right, so what is that? Once again, I'm giving you time to read and answer. Fitness and propriety, we discussed that. Chairman and CEO, board appointed committees, we talked about integrated risk management committee and internal control committee, meeting of the board. Okay. Number 8, right to answers. Shall we look at the first one? That is fitness and propriety of directors. There are 2 conditions to qualify. So what are they? Fitness and propriety of directors. There are 2 conditions that you have to qualify. What are they? We have discussed this in the class. Age. Yes. What is the age limit? Age limit. Age is one factor. Correct. Limit is 70. Very good. Then the other is number. Yeah. Tell me what is the other factor? Number of companies. Very good. So what is the maximum number of companies where you can be a director? 20. Very good. I'll read out the model answer. A person over the age of 70 years shall not serve as a director of a finance company, and a director of finance company shall not hold office as a director or any other equivalent position in more than 20 companies, societies, bodies, corporates, including associate companies and subsidiaries of the finance company. Very good. So the second one we have already discussed. Now this is the beauty of doing past papers. The same questions may be repeated, sometimes entirely the same. So when you read and prepare for the exam, it's a definite thing to do past papers. Chairman and the CEO, we already discussed. Anyway, I'll read out the model answer. The roles of chairman and CEO shall be separated and shall not be performed by one and the same person. The chairman shall be a non-executive director, and in the case where the chairman is not an independent non-executive director, the board shall designate an independent non-executive director as the senior director with suitably documented terms of reference to ensure a greater independent element. So that was not in the past paper we discussed. If the same position is held by the same person, then we have to appoint a person called senior director to ensure more independence. Right. Then what is the other one? Board appointed committees. Okay, I'll give you 5 more minutes. Write the answer. Board appointed committees. What are they? So in your note, I have given you two at least. So the board appointed committees. So we talked about, very good, internal audit committee, risk mitigation committee or integrated risk management committee. Right. So I'll read out the answer. Every finance company shall have at least two board committees reporting directly to the board. These are the audit committee and the integrated risk management committee, IRMC. That's how we call it. Integrated risk management committee. Integrated Risk Management Committee or IRMC. Each committee shall appoint a secretary to arrange its meetings, maintain minutes, records, and carry out such other secretarial functions under the supervision of the chairman of the committee. The board shall present a report to the performance, duties, and functions of each committee at the annual general meeting of the company. So that is the answer. So you must have at least two committees, internal audit committee and the integrated risk management committee. Good. Now the last one, meetings of the board. So I said at least once in a month, at least 12 times per annum. Okay. I'll read out the answer. The board shall meet at least 12 times a financial year at approximately monthly intervals, and the director who has not attended at least two-thirds of the meetings in the period of 12 months immediately preceding or has not attended the immediately preceding 3 consecutive meetings held shall cease to be a director. Participation at the director's meeting through an alternate director shall, however, be acceptable as attendance. Okay. Then we can see 2015 number 8, 2015 number 8, and 2017 number 6. Related party, dominance, excessive remuneration, chairman, CEO. Okay. Once again, 2015 related party, dominance, excessive, chairman. Means what? The same question repeated. So this is why you must do past papers. Right? So in the class, we will look into theoretical aspects, we'll look into practical aspects, but to pass the exam, you must do past papers. Okay. Then something from recent paper. September 2019, question number 2. Effective corporate governance is critical for the proper functioning of the financial sector and the economy as a whole. Briefly explain the following with respect to risk governance framework of a financial institution. Independent director. Now, from the risk point of view, why do you want a independent director? Risk culture, risk management, control function. Okay, so the earlier question we talked about board appointed committees, integrated risk management committee and internal audit, that is for the control part. Now a further uh, questioning from that area. Okay, try to write your answers. We have about 11 minutes. Okay, I'll give you about 6 minutes, then we can discuss. Okay, try to write your answer. Right, we'll look into the answers. Right, the first one, independent director. Who is he? Tell me something about independent director. Yeah, we have talked about him again and again. Very good, non-executive. Okay, not involved in day-to-day management, right? Independent director is a non-executive member of the board who does not have any management responsibilities within the financial institution and is not under any other undue influence, internally or externally, political law, ownership, that would impede the board members' excessive exercise of objective judgment. Okay, so you need executive directors as well as non-executive directors, and they must be independent. When you say independent, they are not influenced by any internal or external factors. Then you can further elaborate. They are not owning more than 2% of shares, so they are not shareholders. They don't have any relationship with CEO or key personnel. So likewise, you can describe about them to address the decision taken by executive directors in favor of the institution in the long run. Very good, very good. So that is why you have nationalist members in the parliament as well. They will bring another perspective, not from the popular thinking pattern. The majority's decision need not to be always correct. Okay, so majority behave in one pattern, but that may not be the exact requirement of the country. Okay, so nobody, as human beings, we don't want forests. We need living spaces. But in order to survive, human beings need forests. Okay, so we have seen that is debated. Risk culture. I'll read out the answer. Right, so we have 2 minutes. Risk culture is a financial institutions, norms, attitudes, and behaviors related to risk awareness, risk taking, and risk management, and controls the decision on risks. Risk culture influences the decision on management and employing during the day-to-day activities and has impact on the risk they assume. So on day-to-day basis, we are undertaking risk. So the risk norms standards are set. Risk management. Risk management is the process established to ensure that all material risks associated with risk concentration are identified, measured, limited, controlled, mitigated, and reported on a timely and comprehensive basis. Okay. Control function. That's control functions are those functions that have responsibility independent from management to provide objective assessment, reporting, and or assurance. This include the risk management function, the compliance function, and the internal audit function. Okay, right. So next week I'll look into leasing, hire purchasing, finance lease, operating lease, then microfinance. Later on, cooperative societies. Once we complete that, our entire syllabus is over. Till then, I'll continue partly syllabus side and partly question and answer from previous. Okay, so I believe I will do another session on risk management. Then we will do some questions on capital adequacy. Okay, with that, I'll end today's session. Thank you.